So I wanted to talk about the hot topic of the day, which is obviously going to be Biomutant, the game that's going to be releasing here in, I believe, like 4 days or something along those lines. And again, the hot topic of the day last night was when the developers came out and mentioned what the resolution was going to be on the Xbox Series X versus the PlayStation 5. Now, why people are losing their minds over this news is beyond me. I honestly don't really understand it. We've actually known about the fact that, the backwards compatibility situation when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are night and day. Now, first and foremost, I have to point out that Biomutant doesn't have a native PS5 or Xbox Series X version. This is, if you're running these games on new hardware, PS5 or Xbox Series X, it's playing like basically the last gen version. It's still a last gen game with no current gen version. So think of it much the way Cyberpunk 2077 was. There was no next gen version of that game, just the last gen version, Xbox One. They did have Xbox One X support, however, which is what gave that an advantage over the PS4 Pro version, and that's basically sort of what happened. So now what we're seeing is this team is basically, they announced that it's going to be 4K, quote unquote, on the on the Xbox Series X, right? Again, that's nothing to do with the PS5 or Xbox Series X natively, by the way, okay? And then on the PlayStation 5, it's going to be 1080p 60, which is what they announced this game was going to be on the PS4 Pro. So basically, what you have is a situation where the PS4 Pro version, which they announced this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to link this as well. So May 14th, actually, or exactly a week ago, they released footage that showcases the performance on the consoles and things like that. And according to this, it says Biomutant is almost here. The THQ Nordic is providing a bit of an overview of how the game will run on various platforms that it's launching on, and a bit of a departure for how these things are usually done. They have multiple videos showing similar footage, but running on different platforms, and I'm going to link this so you guys can check it out, where it will run at 1080p 30 frames on Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, and where it will run 1080p 60 frames. So Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, they're saying it was going to be 1080p 60, and Xbox One, PS4, 1080p 30. So that was the initial sort of idea behind this game. And again, I thought that was going to be, kind of how it is. Now, if you don't know exactly what's going on with the backwards compatibility situation, basically what happens is it's easier to run and just update a patch on the on the Xbox Series X side. So basically, if you look at something like, let's just look at Rocket League, for example. That's an old game that has an update to run 120 frames on the Xbox Series X. There isn't one on the PS5, and the reason why, due to the developers actually came out and said this, is you need to have a native version on the PlayStation 5 to take advantage of the PlayStation 5. So that's the reason. It has nothing to do with hardware not being able to do it or anything like that. If the PS4 Pro is able to do 1080p 60, there's no way in the world that the PlayStation 5 wouldn't be able to do pretty much 4K 60 on that game. So a lot of people with a lot of misinformation out there, which is really kind of unfortunate when you think about it, but they did reveal a lot of different things. So Experiment 101 has gone ahead and revealed Biomutant's PS5 performance in a new gameplay video. The game on PlayStation 5 will run at 1080p 60 frames, which is upscaled to dynamic 4K resolution. The upscaling is due to technical issues with the game and will not be native at launch. Xbox Series X does get a native 4K 60 frames, however. Now, the thing about Experiment 101, that developer team apparently is only a development team of 20 people. So when people kind of freak out about this, I was kind of learning about this studio and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And now we see kind of what's going on. They're a small studio who got tasked with making Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, PS4, PS4 Pro, PC, 6 different versions. And that's not even including the Xbox Series S, the Xbox Series X, or the PlayStation 5. So a small development team got tasked with doing something that's basically kind of impossible. And a lot of people obviously are going to be sort of upset about this, but at the end of the day, you just have to kind of respect that the developers are going to be doing their best, and it's not going to stay that way forever. So at the end of the press release, they received the team do seem to be teasing a native next-gen port for Biomutant, with them saying if the PS4 version of the game will not be a native current-gen experience, more information will follow soon, though. So expect to hear something later this year about a PlayStation 5 version of the game, or at least an update properly optimizing the game on the PS5, basically beyond the PS4 Pro version. Now, the thing is, when you watch the gameplay looks great. It looks great all around. But the fact that, so many people were kind of pushing this as a reason of Xbox superiority leads me to believe two things, okay? The first thing is you got nothing else to focus on because Microsoft has kind of screwed you guys out of games. And two, you got to find something better to focus on because this isn't a native game on PlayStation or Xbox Series X. So to me, it really doesn't, make much sense. It was probably much easier for them to update it on the Xbox Series X as a small team to be able to do that, to unlock the dynamic resolution, whereas on the PS5, they're going to need to have a full native version of this game. And so if they don't have that, it's just going to kind of be what it is. But the game looks absolutely fantastic as it is. I just think so many people are kind of running with this just to sort of go out there and go, oh, well, my system's better or whatever. And I always look at that and kind of shake my head a little bit. I don't honestly feel like that's something that, people are going around. And again, so many people misinformed about this. And you wouldn't believe the YouTubers out there who are bragging about this. Like, to me, it just blows my mind, like people that are supposedly respected in the community or whatever for being honest and being this and being that, and then when you see it and when you see them talk up this stuff and you look at it and you go, well, you know what, this is kind of funny because they're hyping this up and they're not realizing that this is a last gen game, right? So this isn't a new gen game. If it was a new gen game, a current gen game where there was a 1080p versus 4K version, I think everybody would say something, including myself. But the fact of the matter is, a last-gen game having better backwards compatibility features on the Xbox isn't really news for the day, to be honest with you. I just was wanting to talk about it because so many people were kind of losing their minds over this thing, and I didn't really understand it. And, as far as I could tell, it's just one of those things where, me personally, I'm kind of sitting here going, you know what, this is sort of weird. Why are so many people out there kind of, obsessing about this one little situation that's going to be updated and literally has nothing to do with the PS5 per se? Like, to say that the PS5 isn't capable is just ridiculous, especially when the PS4 Pro is doing 1080p 60, and that's the version you're getting on PS5. So, as far as I can say, it doesn't make any sense, and everybody's just kind of going crazy over something that really doesn't deserve this much time. They're a small developer. They're going to go out there and do the best that they can when they can, and everybody else kind of going crazy over this, honestly, doesn't do anyone any good. It just really doesn't, I just feel like it's something not kind of acceptable to go out. And there's also, if people are out there saying, this is indicative of what the PS5 can do or whatever, honestly, that you don't want to go there. It doesn't make sense to go there. Honestly, it doesn't. So this game is going to get patched. This stuff is going to ebb and flow. Xbox has a really good backwards compatibility solution. PlayStation 5's isn't as good in terms of that, but when they actually do the backwards compatibility stuff, you get the upgrades included, not the base version. So again, this is very interesting, but nothing to lose your crap over. We don't want to threaten developers. We don't want to sit there and do any of that kind of stuff. That's craziness. If you want to play the game, at a higher resolution or whatever, you can wait. Look, a lot of people are waiting to play Cyberpunk 2077. There's no shame in that. There's no harm in that. If you want to wait for the update, I say go ahead and do it. If you want to play it on Xbox, I say go ahead and do it. You know, that's probably the smartest thing anybody can do, is just wait for your particular platform if you're not happy with it. So with that being said, I'm going to link all of this in the description. Let me know what you think. Is it worth arguing over? Thanks for watching. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.